In a quiet tide pool nestled between jagged rocks, Ryan the crab scuttled along the sandy bottom, his claws twitching with excitement. He spent his days collecting shiny pebbles and curious shells, dreaming of the day he'd find something truly extraordinary, something that would make him the most famous crab on the coast. Each morning, as the sun rose and the waves whispered secrets to the shore, Ryan would peek out from under a coral ledge and begin his search. The tide pool was his entire world, filled with dancing seaweed, sleepy starfish, and the occasional nosy seagulls. But Ryan was different from the other crabs. While they were content with digging holes or playing shell games, Ryan believed there was something magical hidden beneath the sand. He imagined buried treasure, ancient artifacts, or a pearl as big as a pebble. One foggy morning, as the tide crept in, Ryan spotted something glinting beneath a patch of sea lettuce. His heart skipped a beat. With careful claws, he brushed away the greenery to reveal a golden button, smooth and shining like the sun. It wasn't a pearl or a coin, but to Ryan, it might as well have been a royal jewel. He raced around the tide pool, showing it off to uninterested barnacles and sleepy mussels, declaring it his first treasure. Ryan built a special display out of driftwood and snail shells to house his golden button. He stood beside it proudly, hoping the other sea creatures would be impressed and call him the treasure crab. But the other animals didn't seem to care. A sardine said, "It's just human junk," and a sea slug muttered, "Seen one shiny thing, seen 'em all." Ryan's shell drooped a little, but he didn't give up. Determined to prove his worth, Ryan declared he would find even more treasures, ones so dazzling no one could ignore them. He set off beyond the tide pool, into unfamiliar shallows filled with sea urchins, crumbling rock walls, and swaying eelgrass. His journey led him past whispering anemones and grumpy crabs who warned him to turn back. But Ryan's imagination burned brighter than fear. He believed every bubble held a secret, every shadow a clue. Soon, he stumbled upon an underwater cave hidden beneath a shelf of kelp. It was dark and cold, but Ryan pressed on, his claws tingling with anticipation. In the deepest corner, he found a strange chest made of coral and driftwood, sealed shut with seaweed vines. Ryan's heart thumped like a wave on a cliff. He pulled at the vines with all his might until the chest creaked open, revealing a pile of mismatched items. A bottle cap, a marble, a toy ring, and a spoon with a star on the handle. At first he was disappointed. This wasn't pirate gold or royal treasure. But as he studied each item, he realized they were beautiful in their own way. Each one a mystery, a story, a piece of the world above. With great care, Ryan packed the items into a broken shell and carried them back to the tide pool, which now felt a bit smaller, a bit plainer, after his big adventure. He arranged the objects in a circle, creating what he called the Museum of Wonders. The golden button took center place, surrounded by the bottle cap throne and the spoon scepter. Still, the other animals scoffed. "More junk?" A crab laughed. "That's just old human stuff." But Ryan didn't let it bother him this time. He had seen what they hadn't. How each item shimmered with possibility. One afternoon, a group of young tidepool creatures gathered around Ryan's museum. He told them the story of the marble that came from the sky, and the ring that belonged to a sunken queen. Their eyes grew wide, imaginations spinning. Soon, every day, more and more sea creatures visited Ryan's tide pool to hear his stories. The grumpy crab who once laughed now asked to hear the tale of the silver spoon again. Ryan's museum became the heart of the tide pool, not because of the objects, but because of the wonder he wove around them. He had turned forgotten things into magic, just by believing they could be more. And so, the crab who once dreamed of treasure became a storyteller, a keeper of legends, and a bringer of joy. He still looked for shiny things, but now he searched for the stories they held. One evening, as the tide rolled in under a pink sky, Ryan sat by his button throne and smiled. He had found his treasure, not gold or jewels, but a life filled with adventure, imagination, and friends who listened. The waves clapped gently, as if applauding his journey, and the moon rose to cast silver light over the tide pool. Ryan's shell shimmered, and he felt as grand as any crab king of legend. From then on, crabs and clams, snails and sea slugs, all came to Ryan's pool, not just to see the museum, but to dream. They learned to see treasure in the ordinary and magic in the mundane, and Ryan the crab, once ignored, became a legend whispered by the waves, his stories carried far and wide by the sea breeze. Every tide brought new objects, and every object became a new tale. Ryan would scuttle to meet them, claws raised with joy, ready to turn flotsam into fables.